Now, how many of you out there feel like your 30s are going so fast? Everyone's saying to be financially responsible, but things are just going so fast that you have no time to invest, no time to do anything. It really feels like you're drinking water from a fire hydrant. But listen, at the age of 30, your mindset needs to shift. You really need to shift your mindset in order to start building wealth. And that's exactly what happened to me. In my 30s, I recognized I was making more money and I needed to make better decisions with my money. And I've seen time and time again, so many people have stories in their 30s that they did nothing about it and they didn't take advantage of the fact they were making more money in the 30s than they're doing in their 20s. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the mindset shift that I had within my 30s that allowed me to get really close to hitting financial freedom. Now, first, let me tell you why it was so important for me to have a shift in mindset. You see, because in your 20s, we all know what it's all about. It's all about instant gratification, spending, drinking, partying, doing all the irresponsible things, and you never think about investing. I mean, come on, you're 20. You got no time to think about when you're 60, 65. So you're spending all your money in that moment in the 20s and you're enjoying life. Now, I was doing that as well, okay? I was enjoying my 20s a little too much, and I was not prioritizing saving, budgeting, investing. I had none of that in my mind. And let's be very honest, most of us in our 20s, we never really thought about investing and retiring. And I knew something had to change. And in my 30s, I started making subtle changes within my finances in order for me to reach financial freedom. Because I am not trying to work for the rest of my life. And in my 30s, that's when my eyes all opened up and I realized, yo, I need to do something because there's no possible way I could work a 9 to 5 in corporate America all the way to the age of 65. In order for me to make the changes I need to make, I needed to grow up and be responsible and get more educated when it comes to finances. So in the age of 30, sadly enough, I was living paycheck to paycheck. A majority of people live in paycheck to paycheck. 70% of society is living paycheck to paycheck. But I was living paycheck to paycheck. And what's unfortunate about it was I was not putting money into investing, savings, none of that. I was just winging it, okay, everybody? I was just like everyone else, and I was just winging it. A budget? You're right. There was no budget. When I got paid, I decided what to do with that money, and then I spent it. But I then discovered, man, this is just not going to work. I really want to hit financial freedom. This is when the FIRE movement was out, and everybody was talking about the FIRE movement, and I love the FIRE movement. That whole FIRE movement was the reason why I was able to get a mind shift of changing my perspective in life and started investing and in savings because I really needed to hit financial freedom. I was tired of living paycheck to paycheck. I did not want to live paycheck to paycheck. And I was tired also of relying on 9 to 5 to support my lifestyle. And even though the whole FIRE movement is about retiring early, I don't think I'm going to retire early, but I like the fact of I know if I need to retire early, if I'm not liking working in corporate America, I have that option. So the whole FIRE movement is important for that reason, to know you at least have an option to retire early. You don't have to retire early, but to know you have that option. And that really intrigued me. So those are a few key mindsets that I had to incorporate within my 30s. And one of them was to go from spending to saving. Yes, I spent so much and I didn't save. But I knew I didn't need to save 60, 70%. Some people do that FIRE movement. That's what they do. They say 60, 70%. I took baby steps. I started saving 10%. When that 10% I was putting within my company 401k, I was getting a great match, dollar for dollar. After that, I was putting money in the emergency fund because I needed to build an emergency fund. You see, I always just figure things out. I always like in the end, things that just don't go my way. In the end, I just find a way to make it work. But I knew that's just no way of living. So I started putting money into an emergency fund. Did I build that emergency fund within 2 or 3 months? No. It took me some time. I gradually put some money in the emergency fund until I had enough where I felt really comfortable, where if anything were to happen in my financial world, I knew I'll be safe and I'll be set. So I know a budget, I had to use a budget. And what I do with a budget is just to get an idea of how I'm doing financially and know what I can spend money on and not spend money on. And I also kept a close eye on my lifestyle creep. You see, because in my 30s, when I started making some real money in my job, okay? In my 20s, it was just figuring it out, getting little rinky-dinky raises. But in my 30s, after having my experience, I was getting promotions, I was getting better raises. So I had to be very careful with my lifestyle creep. And I kept an eye on it, and luckily, it helped me. The next key mindset shift was to go from earning to investing. You see, I was raised by my parents, Cuban parents, and all they did was work hard. Work hard, and earn all your money. Never in my household anyone talked about investing. Never. So in my 20s, that's all I did. I just earned, never invested. In my 30s, I recognized there's just no possible way I could work a 9 to 5 for the rest of my life and just earn my way into retirement. That's not gonna happen. Just working, thinking that just working to the day that I die is gonna be enough was not an option. Yeah, guys, really, that's the way I was growing up. I was raised that way, to just work and that's it. So I started to learn how to invest. Now, I wasn't risky with it, okay? I was just putting money within an index fund, S&P 500. From the little education that I was getting some information from Dave Ramsey, and I started reading some books and learning. I recognized that an index fund is one of the best options to do. Number one is low cost. And the importance of it all is this. It follows S&P 500. So I know it's following the 5 best 100 companies, okay? Am I smarter than the 500 company CEO? No. So right now, those 500 companies, S&P 500, are all working for me. I got the top 500 CEOs working for me. That's the way it works, guys. And in my 30s, that's why I started learning how critical it was for compound interest. Compound interest is tremendous. And if you start investing at a younger age, the even better you're gonna get in your returns due to compound interest. 30s, you might feel like it's too late, but it's not. When I started investing in my 30s, by the time, now I'm 43, by the time I hit 43, 42, I recognized, wow, I made so much money on my investments. The next key mindset shift was this. I had to go from short-term thinking to long-term thinking. In my 20s, everything felt like it was just instantaneous. It happened at that moment. I was thinking about tomorrow, guys. I wasn't thinking about 2 or 3 days later. I was thinking about today, okay? I was never thinking about 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years later. Mind the whole retirement thing. I was never thinking about retirement. But things changed in my 30s. There was something I read. I can't remember the book. But the saying was, imagine yourself at an older age. Let's say, for example, 60. What would you say to your current self? Would you say to your current self, hey, thank you for doing all the hard work, because of that, now I'm able to enjoy life? Or you're gonna be looking back and give you the middle finger and say, man, because of you, I'm eating rice and beans and my life is a struggle because you didn't do all the right things. I kept that vision in my head and I always want to make my future self happy. So I put in all the work and all the hard grind, picking up a side hustle, doing a bunch of things to make this work quicker. Okay, and think about myself in the long term and stop thinking of only short term. And unfortunately, in today's society, that's what I'm seeing a lot from the Gen Z. They are just not looking at the long term. They're looking at just today and risking it all for today and not caring about the future. And to me, that is very, very dangerous. And people think that the Gen Zs and millennials are so different. Oh, we've been through that as well. In our 20s, we felt the same way too. We felt like there was just no possible way to get a home. We went through so many things in our 20s, but we wisened up in our 30s. And I'm hoping a lot of the Gen Zs out there, by the time they hit 30, they'll wisen up, because it's really important, guys. It's really important to think long term. It has really helped me out tremendously. And the fourth key mindset shift was this, to go from scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. Yes, you hear that all the time. Scarcity mindset, abundance mindset. But listen, when you're living paycheck to paycheck, that's just the mentality you're in. You have this fear mentality and you would not put money into investing or nothing because you're afraid you're going to lose it all. You work so hard and you have just no space within your budget to be able to invest, to be able to save, and you don't want to risk that money. So you have all this fear of investing. In my 30s, that all changed. I was all about abundance. I was never scared at all about investing. Now, smart investing, okay? I didn't invest into crypto, nothing risky. Some people made out in crypto. That to me was just too much of a risk I didn't want to take. I just put money within the stock market. That was my thing. I never bought individual stocks. Like I said earlier, I bought index funds. I followed S&P 500, and that's all I did. Because this year, my 401k, I almost made in gains more than I make on my salary. And I'm only 43 years old. I can only imagine if I continue this path, what it will look like in 5, 10, or 15 years from now. And the abundance mindset led me here. It led me to do YouTube videos and just try things and not be so afraid to just give it a shot. Of course, someone sees YouTube and like, oh, everyone's doing videos and people get monetized. You're never going to get monetized. And that's how I thought. And that's why I neglected it. But there's so many opportunities for everyone on YouTube. There's so many opportunities, not only on YouTube, in everywhere. If you just open your business and just expand your mind and stop thinking in your little box, in your little bubble, and you recognize there's opportunities everywhere. You just got to just open that door and go through it and give it a shot, because you never know what could come out of it. So if you're in your 30s or even in your 20s, guys, just start putting money within your retirement account. At least do the company match. You have to at least get the company match because that's free money. And to me, the match that the company is giving you is part of your compensation. Take advantage of that, okay? And eventually, gradually, you start increasing it. Especially when you start getting bonuses, promotions, you start increasing it. The way I neglect the whole lifestyle inflation is I make sure I put a certain percent within my investments. Right now, I'm doing 15%. And then I have a certain percent where I want to stay within my wants and my needs. And as soon as I make more money, all of those go up together. I don't just start spending and buying luxurious things. No, everything goes up together. My wants goes up, my needs goes up, my savings goes up, and my investing goes up. That is the best approach that you should have. And also what I did was I thought about short-term goals, middle-term goals, and long-term goals. You have to think that way because it does suck just thinking about just the future and not thinking about now. You might want to go on vacation next year. There might want to be things you want to buy within a couple of weeks. Focus on that as well. Focus on things you're going to get 4 to 5 years from now. But also keep your eye on the future. And the mindset shift for me was really hard, okay? I did not grow up in a community where everyone's talking about finances. I grew up in a community where people just worked hard, okay? I'm from Union City, New Jersey, and from Hoboken. And back in my days, all people did was just work. No one at all discussed finance. No one at all discussed about investing, nothing. It was just about working hard and earning it. That's it. You only earn what you work hard for. And that was the way I was raised. And it was hard because in my 20s, that's what I thought would get me through. They're saying I was a hard worker. You know, whenever in these job interviews they ask, what is your top quality? I used to be the one that's always saying, work hard. That's not a great quality to say, but especially nowadays, but that's all I said because that's all I knew. I just knew how to work hard. I know how to figure things out. And all I had to do was just shift my mindset, shift that figure things out towards finance, and to long-term thinking, into retirement, and to saving, and to spending wisely, and to creating a budget. When I made that shift, everything changed for me. And I know it will for you as well. I know it's hard, guys. I know it's difficult because you're seeing all these people all over social media talking about they have this best life and how they hate the 9 to 5. That's okay, man. You stick to you. You work on your goals. You work on making yourself better. But do not let your 30s just go to waste because in the 40s, it gets even harder to catch up. And on the 50s, it gets even harder because now you're working at the age of 50 and you're seeing all these young kids coming in and you feel like your days are numbered. So please, in your 30s, this worked for me tremendously. It's not too late. Change your mindset. Everything will work out, I promise you.